that's that. And of course,
right at the end of the Marine Minute, of course.
Right, of course, yeah. Of course, we didn't talk about the fact that Marina is Titan's slave.
Yes.
Yeah. Not sure what she actually does for... Well, I mean, later on, she does a bit of cleaning. That's what we see. So there's nothing too sinister about it. But do you want to know... There is a backstory. It's not in the show. It's on one of the mini-albums.
Oh.
They go into the whole backstory of how Marina, and indeed her entire people, can't speak. And how they became slaves of Titan.
So they're all slaves of Titan, not just her.
Oh, no, just her. But so basically Titan has put a curse on her entire people.
Oh,
and
sucks.
if they speak, they can speak.
Or did the fish do it?
Maybe the fish did it. I don't know. I don't remember the story.
All missed his face.
But my eyes catapulted into the back of my skull. But yeah, like Marina can speak. She has the ability.
Okay.
But if she does, everyone will die. Like all her people will die, or her father will die, or something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, so she has that ability, and she can't tell anyone that that's the reason why. You know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't a more permanent way of stopping someone from talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know, the curse was, it's going to last forever.
Well, yes, I know that, but you know what I mean.
I just, obviously that's not discussed in the show at all, but I like that there is something that we can more or less consider canon because it's a mini album, like it's the full cast audio recording, it's just nice to have that depth and that kind of story, which you don't get with many Super Mario Nation shows.
How does Marina do an album?
Well, she writes... now, we're talking about a completely different episode, but basically, I think she writes a letter to the team at Marineville and tells the story, but you hear it read in her voice.
Oh, we hear her voice.
Well, it isn't the only time we hear her voice. We also hear her in a dream sequence in the episode Raptures of the Deep. Oh. It's just Sylvia Anderson doing an early version of Lady Penelope, really. Yeah. But anyway. But it's interesting, isn't it? Like, the characters have something to them, which in the other shows they don't necessarily have. Yeah. So anyway, Troy is convicted to go to Aquatraz. I think that's very clever.
That's quite good.
Yeah. And I mean, basically Marineville's Marineville's just getting ready to fire missiles at them, and
Marina lets them go.
Yes, they're being transported in that little travel tube. Yeah.
And they just sort of left her back there with them, and she's just unbound, and she's
because they think she's on their
side.
Not
on their side. She's a slave.
Well, they don't know, do they? Because but she is a slave, but she's under a curse. So why did she go? I don't know. Probably to make tea or something. I don't know. That's probably what they were thinking she was there for. I don't know, but she was there, and that's just lucky, I suppose. Right. But I like that you don't know what her intentions are. I mean, you get a feeling that she's rooting for Troy during the trial sequence, but it's not until that bit where you realise she's on their side. Yeah. And Troy's like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll help you out as well." It's just nice to see that alliance happen, and you get a little bit of the Aquafibian language, which is funny because sometimes they do talk English. Yeah, it swaps and but I think and it's generally hinted at throughout the series that the Aquafibians are a less intelligent race than the likes of Titan. That's why they're servants. But sometimes they speak English, sometimes they don't. I think it just depends on what the script needed at the time. Chloe our dog is making a lot of very odd noises out there. She's outside. Chloe, did you watch Stingray with us? Hello. I think she was just scratching at the floor out there.
That was a lot of scratching.
Yeah.
Is there any carpet left?
Yeah. She watched Stingray with us, but she was very slightly restless while she was watching it. Anyway, so yeah, Marina and Troy and Phones take on the Aquamphibians, and basically, Marineville's about to launch its attack. But just before, it turns out that Troy has hijacked the mechanical fish.
They see the fish, and then they see that Stingray is being towed behind it, so they're like, oh, look, it's Troy! Yeah. Let's not missile everything.
Right. What do you think of Commander Shaw, by the way?
I mean, we don't see a ton of him. We do see him a lot, but he just kind of makes some decisions that seem like they sort of have to be made, I guess.
Yeah.
And, at least he sticks by those. And he's got a reasoning behind them, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. And, he, just seems pretty fine, really. Yeah. Even if, again, you don't necessarily, maybe it was a touch too far to decide you're going to send a bunch of missiles. But, you know. Yeah. He is rooting for Troy and stuff, though, too. So it's he's kind of right along with the viewer as you're watching it.
Yes, yeah.
You're hoping for the best.
And of course, he is Atlanta's father as well. Mm-hmm. And again, talking about character development, later on in the series, we get to learn. Well, we'll obviously get to see that relationship between Atlanta and her father. Mm-hmm. We get to learn the backstory as to why he's in the wheelchair or the hover chair.
You mean the bumper car?
Sure. Okay. But again, again, it's another nice little solution to the whole puppets walking thing. But also, it just gives his character something, something about him that, again, you don't normally see on TV and in a kid's show or anything like that, It's a
slightly weird bit when he calls... Oh my gosh, what is her name? His daughter.
Atlanta,
thank you. When he calls her on, the radio phone thing, and she drops Troy's picture, and he's like, what's that noise? And she's like, oh, I just dropped Troy. And it was just like, is he not wondering why she has a picture of Troy in her room that's, framed? And
well, again, it's all character. It's supposed to tell us that Atlanta is fond of Troy.
Yeah, he didn't even comment. He's not like, wait, why do you have a picture of Troy in your room?
Well, I think he knows that they're friends. He tries to stay out of their love life, I think. He doesn't... Well, I think... No, it's implied that he knows. But he likes Troy. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he doesn't commit. I mean, in the entire 39 episodes, he doesn't... Well, actually, no. At the very, very, very end of the series, the subject of marriage is brought up.
With Atlanta?
With Atlanta, yes. I think ultimately by the end of the series he's kind of chosen Atlanta.
Oh, interesting.
More because
obviously the end credits very much suggest otherwise.
Well, we'll come to that kind of startling contrast. But yeah, I think by the end of the series, they kind of decided that it was going to be Troy and Atlanta, and I would imagine it was probably because they just realized, and you sort of start to see less of Marina later on because obviously she can't talk. They do a lot with her, but there comes a point where she just can't do as much in the show, so you just don't see her as much later on, which kind of sucks. But it all works out pretty well in the end, and it's not that noticeable. But but anyway, you were talking about her dropping Troy's photo. Yes, it is a slightly odd bit, but when you watch more episodes, it all kind of ties in a little bit more. But anyway, yes, so Troy and Phones and make it back to Marineville, and they're all having a nice dinner. Very dressed up. They're all, in their bow ties and everything, and, they're discussing what's going on, and they, realise that there are good aliens under the sea, and they had no idea before this that there was anyone living under the sea.
There's good ones and there's bad ones, and we've got friends and we've got enemies.
Yeah. Well, what I don't get is there are a lot of underwater civilizations that we see throughout the series. A lot of them have big cities and stuff. How does the World Aquanaut Security Patrol not know that any of these things are there at all?
Because it's a TV show.
Because it's a TV show, yes, exactly.
It would be fun if they knew everything.
Well, yeah. I think, it talks about earlier that Troy has, like, theories that might be the case, but doesn't know for sure, you know? So, anyway, it's just another, kind of interesting point. But, and then Troy's like, big surprise, everyone. Here's a mermaid. Called Marina. Yeah.
And Atlanta's like, I've got competition.
Yeah. Which I like, it's a good bit of fun, I think.
It sets it up, and I know that's what they're trying to do, even though it kind of comes across as very catty, that's like her initial thought.
Oh, if you think that's catty, the next episode, I mean, basically Atlanta is convinced that Marina's trying to kill them all. I mean, there's good evidence that points towards it because of what happens in the episode, but Atlanta really doesn't like Marina at the very beginning and in these first 2 episodes. Then they become friends.
Oh, good.
Even though they're kind of competing with Troy's affections, but they don't seem to mind. They still get on with each other quite well. It's still all nice and everything, but certainly, to start with, Atlanta's very suspicious of her. Which is, again, it's just interesting that there's a development there, that stuff happens, It's good. Not all the same all the way through, So, it's nice.
End credits.
Yes, and then you have the end credits where Troy's basically like, I'm in love with you. I don't know what I would ever do without you. You're so magical to me. Which I think, in the context of the entire series, is fair enough. But if you were just watching that one episode, you would think,
like, what?
This escalated quickly. Surely.
It's a very catchy song.
It's a nice little song, isn't it? Yeah, it's good fun. I just love, all the dramatic visuals of, lying on the beach and Marina swimming by with her hair flowing behind her and all of that. It's just it's very over the top, but it works. And Stingray does a lot of that sometimes, where it's really over the top and really overdone and really dramatic and big in its, in its visuals, but it works and it's really fun. Yeah. And there's, I'm putting a lot of my opinions out there and hoping that you agree with them.
You did a lot of talking this time.
I know, I'm sorry. Well, Stingray is one that I feel very strongly about. Yes. I do like it overall. I think it's, it's very nice. I do like it. But any other questions or thoughts about Stingray at all? Anything that stood out to you as what on earth is that? What's going on there?
I don't think so.
No.
I think we're ready to give it a score.
Alrighty, well, out of 10, what would you give the first episode of Stingray?
I say I was ready. I wasn't ready. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10, which is the same as what I gave Thunderbirds.
Same as Thunderbirds, okay.
Thunderbirds had a lot of really impressiveness, and obviously it was even sort of more advanced from this, but I really like the sort of character development and the sort of smaller cast, but characters that you get to know better and stuff. So I like that about it, and it's just, I like it.
Okay,
so good.
Fair enough. There was a moment I thought you might have given it a 9, possibly, but that's just my interpretation of it. Well, because I know you like the sort of slightly shorter, slightly punchier stuff, and you like you've been searching. You always comment on the character development not quite being there at times, but no, you think it's on par with Thunderbirds in terms of other elements of it.
Like I said, kind of improved still upon areas, just not quite character development.
Okay, well, fair enough.
At least in the first episode.
Yeah.
I think
all right, well, fair enough. 8 out of 10 for Stingray. Yeah. I'm still hoping that we're going to end up with a higher score one day.
Well, that day might still come.
Okay. You're not planning your scores out ahead of time, are you? For certain things?
No, but obviously, going into this, I had to have in my head, like, what I thought might be my highest, what I thought might be one of the lowest, and then kind of, you have to work with something, obviously.
All right, okay, fair enough. Well, listeners, let us know what you think of Stingray, whether you agree with Catherine's assessment, and indeed my assessment of it, because I've been very forthcoming about my opinions in this one. They're probably not welcome, and I'm very sorry for that. But thank you very much for listening. get in touch with your thoughts. We love to hear from you. We enjoy questions, and we enjoy just hearing your, reminiscing about different shows. So yeah, definitely get in touch. You can email in sec.hazard.pod@gmail.com.